Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our poetry unit. Before you can start writing your own poems and learn the different types of poems there are, we're going to spend this week analyzing 5 famous poems. While we're analyzing the poems, I want you to see the figurative language techniques used, the word choices used, the styles used, so that you can get better understanding of what poems look like, what they sound like, and the deeper meaning that's often found beyond the words. At this point, you should have logged into your Google Classroom. I would like you to open up the poetry analysis document and also the doc that's titled Poems. We're going to start by reading the first poem, which is called Mother to Son by Langston Hughes. Before I read, I want to give you some background information. That is my cute niece, Ella, that you hear in the background. Say hi, Ella. Nope, she doesn't want to say hi, but she's here. That's who you hear. All right, so Langston Hughes, he was born in 1902 in Missouri. He was raised by his grandmother until he was 13. During the Harlem Renaissance, Langston Hughes became a recognized literary figure, became famous for his poems. This poem that we're going to read, Mother to Son, is one of his earliest poems. This poem, it's sort of a dramatic monologue. It's a mother, a weary mother speaking to her son and encouraging him to persevere through life. So let's open up the poem, Mother to Son, and let's read it together. All right, please read along with me. Mother to Son by Langston Hughes. Well, son, I'll tell you, life for me ain't been no crystal stair. It's had tacks in it, and splinters, and boards torn up, and places with no carpet on the floor. Bare. But all the time I've been climbing on, and reaching landings, and turning corners, and sometimes going in the dark. Well, there ain't been no light, so boy, don't you turn back. Don't you sit on the steps, 'cause you find it kinda hard. Don't you fall now, for I'm still going, honey. I'm still climbing, and life for me ain't been no crystal stair. At this point, you're going to turn to page 2 of our poetry analysis unit slides. If it is hard for you to see, all you have to simply do is hit the view button at the top, click on zoom, and go to 50 or 100%. 100% is obviously the full view. I use 50 because it's big enough for me to see already. At the very top, can you please type in the definition of a metaphor? Under that, I'm gonna tell you what the metaphor in this poem is. The metaphor is life is a staircase. So go ahead and type that in. Life is a staircase. Now, you see where it says reading number 2? That means we're gonna read it again. This time, we're gonna focus on the extended metaphor. An extended metaphor is a metaphor that was introduced and then developed even further throughout the literary piece. I already told you what the metaphor is for this poem. The metaphor is life is a staircase. So we're going to read it one more time, and then we're going to study the different sentences or phrase to see how it develops that metaphor. So join me as I read it one more time. Mother to Son by Langston Hughes. Well, son, I'll tell you, life for me ain't been no crystal stair. It's had tacks in it, and splinters, and boards torn up, and places with no carpet on the floor. Bare. But all the time, I've been climbing on, and reaching landings, and turning corners, and sometimes going in the dark, or where there ain't been no light. So boy, don't you turn back. Don't you sit down on the steps, 'cause you find it kinda hard. Don't you fall now, for I'm still going, honey. I'm still climbing, and life for me ain't been no crystal stair. Now we're going to go back to page 2 of our poetry analysis. The first sentence or phrase that you see listed there is, life for me ain't been no crystal stair. Now, when I read that, I simply took it to mean that the life that the mother has lived hasn't been opulent, hasn't been luxurious. And I arrived at that meaning because crystal usually symbolizes luxury. So if she's saying that life for her hasn't been crystals, it hasn't been a crystal stair, that means she hasn't led a luxurious life. You're going to read the next 4 phrases. It's had tacks in it, and splinters, and boards turn up. Don't you sit down on the steps. And you're going to type in what you think that means. For example, it's had tacks in it. When I read that, to me, it means that she suffered pain throughout life. So that's what I would type in. The mother has suffered through pain. You're going to do the same for the next 3 phrases. Go ahead and turn to page 3 with me, please. If you're not ready yet, just pause me, right? That's the beauty of learning through a video. You can pause me anytime. But if you are ready, please turn to page 3 with me. Now we're going to analyze the theme a little bit. I am going to tell you that the theme of this poem is perseverance. I need you to find 3 phrases within the poem to support that. I need you to find 3 pieces of evidence. I've done the first piece for you. I've been climbing on. Right? Like, what better line to demonstrate perseverance than someone saying, well, I'm climbing on, I'm still moving on, I'm still going day by day. When you're done with finding those 3 pieces of evidence, you're going to take that and you're going to respond to the analysis question. What is the message of this poem, and how does Langston Hughes convey the message in this poem? That is literally taking what you answered for the top piece of page 3 and just putting it into a paragraph form. So you would say the message of this poem is perseverance, then period. Langston Hughes conveys a message in this poem with these lines, and then tell me what the lines are and what they mean to you. Okay, it's that simple. All right. I am going to move on to the next poem. We're going to do 2 today. So this is our last one for the day. It is called Oranges by Gary Soto. Now, Gary Soto is one of my favorite writers because he was born in Fresno, California, so only just 2 hours from us. Here's some more background information about Gary Soto. Although Gary's childhood was difficult, his father died at 5 when he was 5 years old. His family worked as laborers. Childhood education was not a priority. He grew up to be a successful author that writes about issues and experiences that people can all relate to. He is currently a spokesperson for the United Farm Workers of America. This poem, Oranges, is a love poem, and it takes a unique spin on how to express and explain love. So let's go to our doc called Poems. Let's go to the 2nd page. And let's start reading. Please follow along and read it with me as you're at home. All right. Oranges by Gary Soto. The first time I walked with a girl, I was 12, cold and weighted down with 2 oranges in my jacket. December. Frost cracking beneath my steps, my breath before me, then gone. As I walked toward her house, the one whose porch light burned yellow, night and day, in any weather. A dog barked at me until she came out pulling at her gloves, face bright with rouge. I smiled, touched her shoulder, and led her down the street, across a used car lot and a line of newly planted trees, until we were breathing before a drugstore. We entered, the tiny bell bringing a saleslady down a narrow aisle of goods. I turned to the candies, tiered like bleachers, and asked what she wanted. Light in her eyes, a smile starting at the corners of her mouth. I fingered a nickel in my pocket, and when she lifted a chocolate that cost a dime, I didn't say anything. I took the nickel from my pocket, then an orange, and set them quietly on the counter. When I looked up, the lady's eyes met mine and held them, knowing very well what it was all about. Outside, a few cars hissing past, fog hanging like old coats between the trees. I took my girl's hand in mine for 2 blocks, then released it to let her unwrap the chocolate. I peeled my orange that was so bright against the gray of December that, from some distance, someone might have thought I was making a fire in my hands. All right, let's go to page 4 of our poetry analysis slides. Please type in the title of this poem. I've answered for you already that the style of this is a free verse, right? As you notice, you didn't see like 4 lines per verse like you did for your song. It was just kind of all over the place, which is why it's called a free verse. Can you please now move to the 3rd box and type in some words or phrases that repeat? Some examples I saw were oranges. I saw the word nickel repeat a few times. I give you 2. Ready? Please give me 2 more. And then please type in the opening line, which is the first line of the poem, and the closing line, which is the last line of the poem. Now, I'm not going to read it again to you, but I'm going to ask that you read it on your own, because for the second part of the analysis of this poem, you're going to go through and you're going to type in the images that you see that you visually see, right, in your head as you read it, the places that are mentioned, the objects that are mentioned, and the sounds that could be heard throughout the poem. I'm going to ask that you give me at least 3 answers per box. So like an image that I remember is a yellow porch light. A place that I remember is a used car lot that they walk past. For objects, right, Gary Soto had 2 oranges in his jacket. And for sounds, a tiny bell when they walk through the door. So I gave you 1 each. Now it's your turn to give me 2 more per box. Then we're going to go to page 5 of our poetry analysis book. For this page, you're trying to make meaning. You are trying to put in your own words what the author is saying. So let's look at the first box together. The first time I walked with a girl, I was 12, cold and weighted down with 2 oranges in my jacket. With the background information I gave you and the poem itself, this is what I took for it to mean. And you see my answer in front of you. As a young boy who's nervous about hanging out with a girl that he likes. And the oranges are weighing him down because he doesn't have any money. So that's why it's a weight on him. Now let's look at the next one. Light in her eyes, a smile starting at the corners of her mouth. I fingered a nickel in my pocket, and when she lifted a chocolate that cost a dime, I didn't say anything. All right, I'm going to give you this answer too, okay? So you're welcome, and start typing. What I took for this to mean is that the girl obviously is excited about the idea of somebody buying her candy. Remember, this took place way back then, so candy didn't cost $1 like it does now. And then not wanting to seem like he doesn't have enough money, the boy doesn't tell her that he can't afford it. Remember? It says, I didn't say anything. That's a line. So again, my interpretation of this was the girl is excited about the idea of someone buying her candy. Type that in. And then also type in that not wanting to seem like he doesn't have enough money, the boy doesn't tell her that he can't afford it. All right, so you're going to do the same thing for the next 2 sets. You're going to read the words within the poem, and then you're going to tell me what it means. You're essentially going to interpret the poem for me and put it in words that I would understand. And at the box at the very bottom of page 5 there, the poem Oranges is about young love. So type in that the poem Oranges is about young love. All right, and then let's move on to page 6. What does this poem say about young love? How does Gary Soto present his message in this poem? Again, if you notice what trend we have here, your answers to page 5 is probably going to help you with the paragraph that you're going to write. First, for the first sentence, tell me, what does this poem say about young love? What message about young love did you take away from this poem? So there's no right or wrong answer when it comes to this paragraph. These are the requirements, though. Everything needs to be in complete sentences. You need to be mindful of your spelling, your grammar, your punctuation. You need to answer both questions completely. Basically, you'll be answering what you interpreted as young love and then the evidence that you used to come to that conclusion. Okay, and I want at least 5 sentences for this analysis paragraph. 5 sentences. All right. So that is all we're going to do today. You read 2 poems, Mother to Son by Langston Hughes and Oranges by Gary Soto. Both poets are very popular, very well known, and both have different styles, right? One is a lot shorter. One had more of a format to it with some rhyme pattern, while the other one was a free verse where there wasn't any pattern in particular at all. So that is it for today. All right, I am going to post the next video, which covers the rest of the poems, the 3 poems. Today is Monday. I will have it posted for you by Tuesday. Okay, so check back tomorrow on this YouTube page for the next 3 poems and the instructions. All right, guys. Talk to you later. Bye.